Well, hey there team, welcome back to the channel and welcome to my overview of Norland. It's about time, it's finally going to come out. Is it worth your time, worth your money? Yes, it is. I'm just going to front load. I'm not going to bait you along or anything like that. My spiel is I look at the first 2 hours of a game because that is the Steam refund window. And as a general rule, that's enough time to make up your mind about whether you want to keep a game or not. That's what Steam reckons. I agree. This is one of those games where it's RimWorld adjacent, right? I can already tell that it's got the magic secret sauce. I actually did play a bit of like an alpha pre-release like a year ago. It hasn't changed much. The magic was there then, it's still here now. So yeah, try reviewing RimWorld in 2 hours. Probably not doable, but after 2 hours, someone could probably tell you that RimWorld's magic, and this game is scratching that itch. And I'm sure, look, if you're already looking at this video, you're probably looking for that kind of feedback. So yes, this is worth the hype. I'm so badly wanting to stop recording this video and boot it back up and play some more. It's just such a good time. What's it doing different? Well, look, it's got a medieval aesthetic. It's got a sort of similar art style, but in a way, this is a little bit more detailed, a bit more gritty. And in many ways, there are aspects of it that are kind of more complex than RimWorld. Couple of things, couple of just dot points, because I've only got so much time to talk about this and it's incredibly complex. Has a lot of simulation under the hood. In fact, that's probably the first dot point. One thing that fascinates me is games that have living economies or economies that sit under you, like civilian economies, kind of run themselves separate of the player's input. So this has that sort of thing going on. So think X4 in a way, or Distant Worlds 2. The way it plays out is you have like a family caste system. Depending on the scenario, you get different starts. The default is king and his wife and his brother. So you get 3 nobles, and through them you run your empire. So you don't directly control the peasantry so much. And this at a glance is manifested in you'll have buildings like a lumber mill or like a rye farm, something like that. And you would assign your king or your family member, and they play like a pawn from RimWorld. You assign them to that workstation, and they'll have a management skill which can level up over time. And they will, as part of their kind of routine, go out there, gather up all the bloody little lumberjacks, scream at them in their Simlish, and give them their orders. And they will get a bonus potentially depending on the management skill. So what's interesting, here's an example, right? And it plays out in the tutorial. Tutorial's really handy. It's quite short, punchy, doesn't cover everything, but it gives you an idea of what you're dealing with. You essentially have like needs and wants at the peasant level. Accommodation as well, they don't want to be homeless. They got to eat and they got to drink, basically. And so you set the income for your peasantry, and what they will do is they'll go and work the fields or whatever, but then they'll go, right, I need to go buy food. They will attempt to buy food with the money that's given to them, and with the money left over, they will attempt to buy like moonshine or alcohol, which they fucking hate, but they'll drink it because it's all they've got. And you can see them, they take their food back into their dormitories because that's where you start living. You can start building peasant houses as you research that, and the research thing is a whole other topic. But you know, they'll prep in their kitchen, they'll play dice in their homes, that sort of thing. I can only assume that the coins that the individuals own move between them through gambling and that sort of thing. So you have to massage the economy. A pretty good starting place is like having Rutabaga or whatever it's bloody called, which they constantly say in their Simlish, by the way. You'll zoom in and Rutabaga. So make sure that that's $4 and say moonshine's $4 and make sure everyone's getting paid $8, right? Now your economy is kind of self-contained, so the coins that exist, they are kept track of in the world, and they move around through the marketplace and up to you and down to them. So the only really way to get more coins into your economy is engaging with the greater world. More specifically, you have a traveling merchant that comes to your town every couple of days, which is representative of the inquisitional religious overlord of this world. In fact, the long-term objective is to challenge that, you know, essentially announce yourself grand dictator, or you form like a super PAC alliance with other neighboring villages, which, you know, there's Crusader Kings elements there. You can intermarry, you can go on like boar hunts to improve relationships and fight and war with each other, that sort of stuff. How you deal with things on your lands, like if you've got bandit camps and you trade slaves with local bandits, it's going to upset all your other neighbors as well. So it has that wider geopolitical component that maybe you don't see so much in RimWorld, really. But similar to like Against the Storm, you have this matriarch running the Inquisition, and You have to keep your relationship with them above a certain point, or they will dispatch an army to obliterate you. So they have like a bishop that'll come round. They have a merchant that'll come around, and so you trade with the merchant, and that's how you get coins into and out of your economy. So you'll sell them, rye or moonshine, but there'll be a ceiling on the local market cap before it gets flooded, and it warns you. It says if you sell over this amount, and that obviously fluctuates. So that gives you some production targets, but you can't just flood the market. You can't just be this moonshine factory and nothing else. It's not going to work for you. You're going to crash the price. So it's very complex. This simple base level peasant economy starting at the bottom in your fief, and then you interacting with them outside of that. There's also another currency that sits above that. They're called like hoops or something like that, rings. It's quite novel, but this is something for the royalty. They love them. They want them. And sometimes they'll get mood debuffs because they want more rings, and the king has to reward them, that sort of stuff. So you have to manage their interplay sometimes. Oh my god, there's so much to cover. The war system where you build up an army led by your lords, and then you recruit dudes in, you give them weaponry and all that, kind of Manor Lords like, to be honest. And then off they go and they bash and biff and kill each other and surrender and break, and so there's a huge whole layer to that as well. One of my soldiers got injured and developed gangrene in his foot, so that had to be dealt with. Like, this game is actually wildly complex, even though it looks very cutesy. What else? My king's brother was getting upset because he wanted sex and he wasn't getting it, and I clicked around on the peasants and I just found some random chick in one of the dormitories, and you can give her one of the royal rings, the super currency, which is well and truly above the peasantry, and she will gladly go and visit him. So they went and knocked boots, and now she's knocked up, and the game's already warned me that now he's going to have a bastard, so I don't even know where that's going to go. So a bit adult, a bit Game of Thrones, but that's cool. The way that you develop knowledge and research is through the use of a library and reading. The peasantry doesn't read, but your people do, and that's an actually huge trade circuit that you do with the merchantman that comes by. So essentially you'll generate and, buy, or you'll sell produce and all that to him, to the inquisitional matriarch, and as much as bringing those coins into your economy is kind of helpful, and the hoops especially because you can't mint or print them, buying books off of him is a big deal. So you buy these books and they go in your library, and then you allocate reading assignments essentially to members of your family, and then that will give you things as simple as, build this building. Peasant houses, there's one, so now I can build individual sort of houses as opposed to dormitories. However, it's associated with the person that learnt the knowledge. Now, once you learn it, everyone can build it. It affects the entire fief, but once that member of the family dies, all that knowledge goes with them. You can obviously double up and stack up and that, but what it looks like is quite often your family's matriarch. I've said that word enough times, but the queen is probably going to be a bookworm with all the knowledge sitting in her head. So she's got a unique value proposition going on there. There's build systems for things that you create as well, build an until you have 10 of moonshine, which is great. This is what I want when I play RimWorld games, and I can't believe so many of them can't get a good build system right. I would argue the build system in this is cleaner than RimWorld, if only because the production chains aren't quite as complex. There's not quite as many bills, well, at least by the look of the screen. It's an actual screen that you open up, and if you've got it unlocked, you set the bill limit from there as opposed to setting it to a workbench. You can freely move buildings around. I don't think you get penalized for that, which is pretty handy. I like that. But yeah, look, I've covered as much as I can think of off the top of my head. Remember, this is unscripted. I just go for it. I'm really impressed. I'm really hooked, and it has lit a spark in me. Don't get me wrong, I'm never burnt out on RimWorld. I have hundreds of hours in that, and all I got to do is boot it up and just start playing it, and my weekend will go. But this game gets me kind of excited, gets me a bit reinvigorated. And it's absolutely worth checking out, even at the early access level, because I believe it's going straight into early access. Now, will it have legs 100 hours in or whatever? I mean, there's an argument that if you've gotten 100 hours of a game, it's already done its job. But again, remember, this is still a cursory look, but from someone who's a fan of these sort of games. So I can kind of see it, and it looks good from where I'm sitting. What a year for colony management builders. You know, we had Manor Lords. Oh my goodness. Very exciting. I think this video is going up a couple of days before it's out. I don't have the embargo in front of me. But yeah, get pumped. This game seems pretty great. Anyway, team, beyond that, I'm just waffling. Might just leave it there for the time being, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.